Okay, so we're talking pricing, conversations around pricing. So the first point was preview property to give yourself a stronger knowledge of the market. Get out there and see some of these properties. All right, point number 2, you are not responsible for the price. Don't take it personal. Always tell them the truth. Always tell them the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Any issues with that? Any challenges with that? It can feel like sometimes you don't want to tell them the truth, especially if you're newer. You don't have that much business. You don't have that many listings. You might feel like they are going to respond negatively or push you away if you're pricing, if you're recommending a price that you know already they may not be comfortable with because you pre-qualified them, or that you just know based off of whatever conversation you've had with them before. Okay. Any stories? Anything anyone like to share? Any questions, comments, concerns, delusions? Okay, good. I'm moving. On point number 3, our job is to place the home strategically in the market through price and drive as many buyers as possible in order to negotiate the contract. That's our job. And oh, by the way, like all these other things in regards to what makes a property sell are secondary by a long shot on price. Because if it's condition, it still has to do with price. If it backs the major road, it still has to do with the price. If it's the neighbor, it still has to do with the price, unfortunately, right? And so how constructive can you have those conversations? And if I'm you guys, I'm looking at ways to always keep that sword sharp on your ability to have better pricing conversations, because that's ultimately your first job, is to get the price right. And it's hard. No or yes. It's hard to be able to deal with egos, to be able to deal with ignorance, to be able to deal with, how do I say this in a constructive way, asking good questions, for me to be able to move forward and get the contract signed, because it's not easy. And so our job is to place the home strategically on the market through price. Okay, point number 4, any agent can list a home above market value. You know this. David, you see these people doing that, and we're picking up business from it because we're talking to expired withdrawals. True professionals get the price right and share how pricing aggressively can actually benefit them. Pricing aggressively. Okay, don't have a problem telling them that they got a price here versus here. Okay, you're comfortable in the listing presentation. All right, how comfortable are you pitching that pricing aggressively can benefit them? Okay, who's ever done? I've done a thing called I call it here flash auction sale. I actually haven't done it this year because our market's stalled out a bit, and it hasn't been a good market here for me to do this. Pricing 20 to 30% below market value. 20 to 30% below market value. Anybody ever priced that aggressively? Creato has. Rebecca, you have? Yeah? Tell me what happened recently, long time ago?
It was a while ago.
Okay. What happened?
I wanted the seller to price there, and he was like, "All right, let's give it a shot." And we got a ton of offers on it, obviously. And then the seller was like, "Oh, actually, let's price it higher." So it was an interesting situation, but
Oh, Papa Ganoush. Gee, I can't. Yeah. So you got them. So did the um, tactic yield the price range initially what you were looking for? No or yes?
yeah, but
Yeah.
then he got greedy.
And then he got greedy. Okay. I had a scenario like that where the guy didn't get greedy, but he just backed out. We were, and this is how I started this tactic, was a property is getting ready to expire, or we were going to pull it off the market, right? And okay, look, we got nothing to lose at this point. Okay, what are your thoughts on pricing it here to see if we can still get here? Now, there's a couple variables here where if you're around new construction, that could be a problem. If the house has has some issues, it could be a problem. But remember, price solves all issues, and even properties that have issues. Ultimately, if you're able to communicate where reality is, now look, we're here, right? We're here, high. Okay, we're high. Reality's here. We price here, and I'm able to communicate with the seller that regardless, we're probably going to end up here. Okay, so setting expectations and having reality and your ability to communicate that, whether you're pricing in a traditional strategy where you start at a certain price based off of market value, or you do something aggressive like this. Okay, so that's the topic here, is pricing aggressively. Okay, and actually, I probably made some excuses this year on why I haven't done it, but if you guys got some properties sitting around, that could be a good tactic to be able to turbo boost offers. Now, there's a whole nother, this is a whole nother thing that we need to talk about on another day, where like what you need to do to set expectations at the MLS, what you need to do to set expectations with realtors, because you need to be clear, crystal on what's going on, because you're not trying to pull a bait and switch here. You want to communicate as thoroughly and as aggressively as possible. We put it in the MLS. We put it in private remarks. We put it in when somebody schedules an appointment, we send them a text. We use showing time. So we send an automated text. Here's what's going on. We had my assistant pick up the phone and call them and go, hey, here's what's going on. We've intentionally priced well below market value to speed up the process on offers. Seller has a reserve price. That's an auction term. Okay, a reserve price that they're only willing to accept. So we're looking for market value bids. And this is just an opportunity for us to speed along the process here. And so take a look at the comps. Sometimes I have comps in the listing to help them. We need to help them, right? To get an understanding. And will you still get lowball offers? Yes. Am I communicating that to the sellers in regards to expect this to happen? Yes. But we have this many. We have 30 showings. We have 5 to 7 real interested parties. We have a couple lowball offers, and we have 2 or 3 that are right on the money where we want to be. How many offers did you end up getting, Rebecca, on yours?
We got like 5.
5
Which
offers. How many showings?
we got like probably 15 at the open house. We had a good open house. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I've had 30 to 50 showings in as little as 7 to 14 days. Okay. Your communication's critical though on all these things that I talked about. And if you have more questions, you can email me and I'm happy to share on that. But it's a pretty cool tactic. Jay, you want to did you have something to share? Or can you share? I know you're driving there.
I don't have nothing to share, but I can share.
Yeah. I mean, when's the last time you did that?
It wasn't this year. Definitely last year I did a lot more, but it was it was going into a slower market.
Yeah. Yeah. The market was a little healthier. I think that's been my issue this year, is the market's been a lot slower here. So did that tell me maybe feedback on the number of showings, or what that did it achieve your goal on price, or give me a little bit on that?
Yeah, it creates a lot of I guess showings is what it does. So we got a lot of people looking. Obviously, I still get those blind offers. But what I've been doing lately is been taking a lot of expired listings, about 30, 40,000 under the price that they were listed at. I just took one right now. He was listed for about 440 for about a year. I took it at 389.
Yeah.
So yesterday I took one the same exact way, 450, got it for 399. So, but it was still but when we price it lower, it creates a lot of activity, creates offers, creates people showings. And so really does get the sellers excited. Some of the sellers are really resistant to that. They resisted to that. Like, yeah, I'm not giving my house away. No way, I'm not doing that. You have to have that walking them off the ledge conversation with them.
Right. Hey, you're in total control. You have full control to reject any offer that you're not you're not happy with. And by the way, last year I did it 12 times, 10 times it worked. 10 times it worked out of 12. Okay. And so your ability, now back to what were we talking about on this point, which was an agent can list a home above market value. Any agent can list a home above market value. True professionals get the price right and share how pricing aggressively can benefit them. And that's would be a really cool scenario to role play. Maybe we'll role play that at the end of today. Let me keep going though.
Can I say one thing I forgot to say? I was going to say that when I have that conversation with them, I tell them, listen, this is not the selling price. This is our marketing price.
Right.
This is what's going to get us those offers that we want to get. Because sometimes I can list it at this price and get you way more than what you were looking for to begin with. So, so I have that conversation with them.
Yeah. And so how good can I get at having that conversation on pricing aggressively? And look, that's not for everybody. And that may not be for you right now, because initially maybe this is okay, well, they're thinking 450 and aggressive would market value is 425 and I'm going to try to get them to 415. I mean, I don't know, right? But like pricing aggressively does have an effect on causing more interest, more buyers, more opportunities, more opportunities, more potential offers, competition, demand up, price up. Okay, so how good are you at having that conversation? Think about role playing that, because that can have dramatic effects on results in your
So,
business. Okay.
Pauly, what's the what do you typically like 6-8% below? What's your normal ballpark when you go below, like to make it aggressive?
So what I was talking about, I actually dubbed this. It's in my listing presentation in 6 different ways I can bring you an offer. And for the flash sale is an auction type effect sale, and for those, I'm going 20 to 30% below market value. Yeah,
And
for
then
those.
for like that 2%, if that there, the two that didn't sell, do you do a price increase, which would never looks good on the MLS per se, but
I've had 2 scenarios that I can recollect where we didn't sell at the market at the flash sale price, and then we raised the price and we did sell at the market value price. So careful on that belief, like never looks good. Well, there's a saying, all what is it? All publicity is good publicity. Okay.
okay.
And so there's an element of that. Do you got some explaining to do? Yes. But I still sold 2 of them that we had to go up on. The other 2 we didn't sell. And so it just, it didn't work. And one of them was near a new home site. The other property backed like a nuclear power plant or something. I don't know what the hell was behind it. It was like really sketchy, and you walked in and like the property actually real market value was probably 10 to 15% below the comps, because it was right on top of some sort of facility. Okay, let me keep moving.
And why do you
Set them up.
think
Oh, go ahead,
why do you
Andres.
think it was sold after the price increase? And how many days on
Why?
the market? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recall. It was probably 30 to 45. Yeah,
Okay.
it was this works really well for high-end homes and properties that are super attractive. Works really well for that. The less I learned that the lower the price point and the less desirable the house, not as good as an effect.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, luxury properties, this works really good for. Properties that are like, have lots of features and benefits where people can see the property and get excited about it, much more effective. I did make it work for lower price points, but it was a little bit more of a struggle to get the same effect, the same bang effect.
Got it.
Yeah, go ahead, Harold.
Hey, there's a couple other things regarding that auction thing. I've seen also like a 1-day event where you have the low price that you can offer at, like you were saying, Pauly, and then you just have a 1-day event that after that event's over, submit the offers. I've seen that many times. And I've also, our company also has an auction site. So like last stop, if they still need to sell the house, you get the commission, but it's just auctioned off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just another avenue.
Yep. Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to keep moving here. Number 5, set them up for a price reduction ahead of time. We're talking about pricing strategy at the listing presentation. Conversations that set expectations allow you to go back to price without it being a surprise. Pre-signed price reductions always get you a standard, always allow you to set a standard and not get burned later, right? Who's set a price, said, hey, let's do a price reduction later if it doesn't sell after 3 weeks. And then the seller's like, nah. Who's had that happen before? Okay, like almost every hand. Okay, so get it in writing, David. Look, I'm totally willing to list it 5% over what the comps are saying right now, as long as you'd be willing to say, look, if we don't have an offer within X time frame, we're going to lower the price. Does that sound fair? Yes, I'd be willing to if you'd be willing to. That's a tactic in the playbook. Look, just set that expectation on what we're looking for. In my presentation, I'm looking for 3 showings a week, depending on the property or the area. 3 to 5 showings a week to know that we're on track. And in my market where it's a little bit slower, I mean, if I get 2 or 3 showings a week, that bar's come down a little bit. I'm looking for 2 or 3 showings a week to know that we're on track over a 2 to 3 week time frame. Okay, a couple of weeks. Like the first week, the buyers are sitting there waiting for properties to come out. So setting expectations about like how much. Look, what are we looking at for showings? NAR has something that they put out where it takes 10 showings to get 2 or 3 interested parties. Okay, so then that's almost in par where I'm saying like 3 to 5 showings a week the first couple of weeks. In a healthy market, that's 10 showings. You could have 2 or 3 interested parties after the for those 10 showings. In a slower market like mine, I'm going like 2 to 3 showings a week. Says we're on track. And then I'm still looking at a 2 to 3 week time frame to understand, like, is this price good? Am I on track? And setting expectations, because when I come back and I go, hey, we've had 2 showings in 3 weeks. We've had a conversation before that, hopefully. You know, what do you think the market's telling us? What are your thoughts on 2 properties going under contract while we've sat here at our current price? Questions, Janice, questions. Like, I'm in question mode all the time. Machine gun questions, you guys. Instead of Anush, instead of like telling them things, ask them questions, man. Ask them questions on those thoughts that you're having, because a lot of you guys have good thoughts rolling around in your head, and you start saying good things, and then you're blah 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 blahing too much, Felicity. You're blah blah blahing too much, and you haven't asked them good questions, and now they've just sat there taking instruction from you like a little kid who's being punished. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody likes to be told that they're wrong. So this needs to be a constructive conversation to set expectations. That's the point we're on right now, right? To set expectations for us to be able to have better conversations to get them moved from that fixed mindset of fear or missing out or losing money or whatever isn't congruent with us being where we need to be to get the price where it needs to be. Okay, let's see here. Once you've taken the
Pauly,
listing,
what page are you on?
I'm on page 69, 68 or 69.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Once you've taken the listing overpriced, because you will, you will take overpriced listings, update them every week with a call on what you've been doing. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, are you just putting a sign in the yard, putting it on the MLS, and then saying a prayer that'll happen, that'll sell? Like, what are you actually doing? And you need to be communicating that. And there's probably, for some of you guys who may be communicating that partially, there's probably more that you could tell them that you've been doing on going to network events, calling your sphere of influence. What are you doing on social media? Are you reverse prospecting? Are you circle prospecting? Like, what are you doing for marketing or advertising? Make sure that they know. Email them comps weekly. Weekly, the comps are emailed, and I review them on my call. And I have not been doing that as well as I should have been doing the last 30 days, where I'm kind of been cheating a little bit. Transparency now, okay? Safe place. Like, I should be on the phone for some of these properties, Janice, that have been sitting around a little bit longer, and like talking to these sellers as far as like what's going on here, what's happening with the comps, because you send them information. Do they look at it? Sometimes. Yeah, no, right? Like all of it. Look, high D's, no. I'm going to glance at it. Oh, there's an attachment. I don't have time to look at that. Okay. High C's are going to look at it. High I's, no way. No way. They're not looking at it for sure. They're not looking at it. Okay. Maybe they are, but I don't think so though. Okay. So the point is, David, is that you got a property sitting around the market for a couple of weeks, like on one of those weekly calls or bi-weekly calls, because sometimes I'm doing bi-weekly calls. I'm not doing calls every single week. Transparency. I'm not doing calls every single week, but I'm doing them at least twice a week. And like this last month where it got away from me and I didn't do it twice a week, is I'm like, you know what the excuse was? Here's what the excuse was. My email update is freaking awesome. Like, it's thorough. Everything's there. It's beautiful. I've like not perfected, but I've achieved a very high level of weekly listing updates. And there's links and there's video and there's like all this stuff. Okay, cool. But nothing nothing diminishes the fact that real estate's about relationships. Relationships are about conversations. The blah, blah, blah is what I need, especially, Janice, when those properties have been sitting around a little while. You better get your butt on the phone and start talking about what's going on. You can send them all that stuff, but like you need to talk about it. Need. Harold, question quickly.
Yeah, just two real quick. Why you're not calling these people and sticking to your plan, number one. And number two is when you do talk to them, are you getting back into the situation motivation part of the equation to get them?
Sometimes.
Okay, depends on.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Depends, right? Just depends. And also consequence, coming back to besides motivation, Harold, is like consequence. Like, let's talk about the consequences of us continuing on this path, or the consequences of other properties selling while I'm not, the consequences of the longer on the market, the less money that we're going to get. Hey, this is the big boy, big girl conversations here. Javi, you want to be a real good listing agent? Like, this is the conversations I need to have to go to next level, because that's what makes me the money. Setting the expectations and pricing right. That's where it all begins. Now, didn't price it right, or the market wasn't what you had expected, you better be able to have a conversation that's better to be able to get there and make the adjustment. Let me see where I'm at here.
So I have a question. Let's say if they refuse to lower it. Let's say you've been meeting up with them, you've been doing the calls, and they refuse to lower it. Do you just let them go at that point, or do you still just hold on and ride it out and hope that they change their mind? And what is that time frame? Do you ride it out for 2 months, a month? How do you handle that?
Yeah, it depends on motivation. So, and it depends if I think that I'm in the like the market conditions, because like for right now in Austin, Texas, like the market's a little bit slower here, and it's you know, there's places like Denise where Pflugerville and Round Rock that are like, you could even be priced right, like you're at the bottom of the barrel, and it's not moving. False or true, Denise? You experiencing that out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's like a ton of competition, but even I have listings out that way, and they're priced, they're in the strike zone, man. Like I should get an offer, but we're not.
It's days on
Okay, so
market.
based off of market, go ahead, Nicole.
It's days on market. You have to pay attention to what days on market are. I had a listing on for 6 months and we just sold at over asking price. Like we didn't have to drop. You have to pay attention to what the days on market are.
You really need to know, Felicity, macro and micro data, like what's happening with the big picture of the market, and then like what's happening in their area or community, because those could also be subset factors on like do you let it sit? They don't want to lower the price, and you're trying to lower the price to like kick something into gear to make something happen. But in normal markets where properties are not taking as long to sell, and they're not willing to lower the price, you got to take a look at the comps and go like, is this going to sell at this price? And in your gut, if you say no, let them go. Like, why are you holding on to it? You just to rack up days to get a buyer call? Don't give me that crap. That's crap. That's crap. Like you're looking to spend time with, so people see that you have an overpriced listing, so the neighbors know that you didn't sell the house. I mean, let them go. Let them go. It's better for you to have that. It's so much healthier and feel good for you to have that conversation and go, hey, look, it's not working out. And
you can refer them too, right, Pauly? Yeah.
Well, refer them for what? For an overpriced listing?
No, like as in like, hey, I realize that, you know, this is not going to work, but I can definitely refer you to an agent, and I don't know, like try to end in good terms.
No, I'm not referring an overpriced listing. If they don't want to lower their price, I'm going to send, hey, Janice, you want my listing that I can't sell at 500,000 and they don't want to lower their price? You want that listing, Janice?
Nah.
Yeah, no.
Refer them to an agent you don't like.
Yeah, those are the ones, the jerk.
No. Let them go. Look, here's your problem. If you generate, if you don't generate, you have to tolerate. Okay. If you don't generate, you have to tolerate. So if you're not generating conversations where you're talking to people every day, because this takes time. By the way, it's slow, and like people just don't jump into making decisions to sell their house usually quickly. Okay. So this takes time. So if you don't generate, you got to tolerate. And then you're sitting there going, well, I'll just hold on to it. Well, Karina, Karina, how long in the business, Karina?
3 years.
3 years. Okay. Do you do a lot of listings or more buyers?
I did a lot of listings in Colorado. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't like to hand them out. That's why I was saying like my go-to was if it was sitting in the market for a long time. Like I had one, and it was before I relocated to Florida, and it was gonna expire anyway, so I decided to end it. But I thought about it after, and I'm like, dang, I should have referred them to somebody else.
Well, if I was going to say, have you ever been in a situation where you referred somebody a listing you couldn't sell and it sold?
No.
Okay. So that's a good hypothetical, but it's not real world. Okay. And if it's going to expire and they're not willing to lower it, there's one of two things are happening. Either you don't have the skills to get them there. Okay. Or they're just not there. And that's okay. When you generate, you don't have to tolerate. So when you do generate, move on. Move on. Go talk to some people that are going to be in the boat on what it really will take to get the property sold. So Felicity, it just depends. It just depends, but you got to set your standards on like, how long am I willing to sit with a property? What's their motivation? What's going on with the market? And then what am I willing to do? But certainly you don't want to sit with a property for a long period of time that you know in your gut is not going to sell. Okay. No way. Move on. Okay. Let me see what else I got here. Market. Okay. In the presentation throughout the listing process, before you get an offer, set expectation. We did that. The market changes on a regular basis. Be mentally prepared. You guys, please, for the love of everything, something for your mindset. Okay. You guys should be doing stuff for your mindset because this stuff is emotionally taxing. Like it's difficult for some of the psychological abuse you're going to take for people who are being ignorant or ego. Like, what are you doing for your heart? What are you doing for your mindset? Do something, because I promise you guys, if you don't do something here, everything else just begins to deteriorate. I promise you, like this business is tough. You know, they don't talk about having to deal with people and having to deal with attitudes and misinformation and ego. And so like, make sure that you're doing something to pour into yourself. And you're like, well, I don't have something. Put it on your calendar. It doesn't exist. Put something into your calendar on prayer, meditation, affirmations, YouTube, books, events. Like, do stuff for your mindset. I promise, I promise, I promise, I promise. It'll help you maintain and sustain, because this business will beat you down if you don't. I promise you that. Okay. Turn down price reductions if you can't get the one you need the first time. The second price reduction is 10 times harder to get. Okay, I'm glad I'm reading this because I haven't done that recently. Okay. I had two I'm thinking of recently that I'm like, okay. I'm like, what about $10,000? And they go, how about $5,000? And I go, okay. And so this is why we need conversations on a continual basis and be part of a community or be in coaching or be trained or continue to be trained, because Javi, we let ourselves get lazy sometimes. And you're like, oh, I'll take the 5,000. At least I got the 5,000, Janice. Look, you don't need, is the 5,000. Look, the property's listed for 350,000. And they say, look, can we just do you know, they need a 15,000, because if you ain't getting offers, you're 3 to 5% overpriced. Period. Write that down, newbies. 3 to 5% overpriced if you don't get an offer. Okay. Initially, you're getting 1 or 2 or 3 showings and no offers. How far are you off? 3 to 5%. Okay, for sure. 3 to 5%. And they go, can we just do a 1%? Then they don't say 1%, right? They say 5. Can we just do 5,000 or just 10,000? Look, if it was 5 or 10,000, unless you were getting, Janice, unless you were getting a ton of offers or a ton of showings, like you were getting 5 to 7 showings a week, but still no offers, maybe you need a little tweak. But if you're getting okay showings or not very many showings at all, you're 3 to 5% overpriced, and they want to do a 0.5 or 1% price reduction. Look, will not help you. Will not. Okay. So pass on it and wait to come back and go, okay, great. Well, let's see what happens. But, and then maybe you're bringing, in my listing presentation, we have that. And it talks about number of showings versus no offers, percentage equals percentage overpriced. And I got to bring that back to them and go, hey, look, here's the deal. I show it to them. I talk about it, but like, don't be very reluctant to taking little feedback or little price reductions, and really make sure that you hold out for the big one, because you know what happens, Lydia, if you really let them kind of you let them just kind of nitpick you little by little, is you're prolonging the death. And then you know what? You know who they blame no matter what? You're still to blame. And they're like, well, why hasn't it sold? And you're sitting there like, I told you. I've had this happen just a few times in my career, just a few times, where I told them where to sell and they wouldn't do it. And then I let them go, or they expired. And then later on they list with somebody else, or they said, hey, I want to stop. And I go, okay, let's stop for sure. And then they end up listing with somebody else. And then that other person got them down, or they just, the pain was enough that I remember this lady distinctly, man. I told her exactly where she needed to be. And then she was crazy. I let her go. She hired somebody else, started high. Eventually she was getting a divorce. Eventually she got to where she needed to go, and the property sold. Anybody ever have that happen? Right? And so what was the problem? Skill set. I take responsibility. A little bit was my skill set. Some of it was, I was like, this lady's crazy. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like, I'm done. Like, just no. We had an open house. She was in a bikini in her backyard, and she was the type of person who was not necessarily the type of person who should be flaunting a bikini. Okay, open house. My agent calls me up. He goes, there's a lady in the backyard sunbathing. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, oh wait, I think it's the seller. And I'm like, gotta be effing kidding me, right? Like that's what I felt. So you gotta wait. Now back to like mindset, right? And reinforcing your mindset is like, what are you willing to put up with? What are you willing to do? And then what are your standards? And sometimes, now look, I generate a lot, so I don't have to tolerate a lot. So I was okay letting that go, even though I told her where it needed to be, because I had a bunch of other people that I had to deal with, a bunch of other leads, a bunch of other listings. So think about that with what your standards are. Okay, one more thing here, and then I want to do some role play, which is make sure you understand the cost of taking a listing, actual hard cost, as well as your time, and what that's worth. What's your time worth? What's your time worth? You know what I know my time worth right now? $355 an hour. Mike, that's my closing, that's my GCI to hours prospected. I know that. And I want to know that because I want to know that, like, look, this is what makes me valuable. This is what my value's worth in regards to time, not what makes me valuable. This is what my time's worth in regards to actual worth of my time. Because remember, you're not getting paid by the hour. Time is your greatest asset. You must protect it with standards and systems. Standards and systems. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Next week, we're going to do pricing, listing presentation, price tools. I'm going to give you for next week. I'm going to write that down. Let me show you guys. I'm on listing presentation trial closes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to read through these real super quick, and then let's do a freestyle role play with people who have the guts to do a freestyle role play where we're at the end of the listing presentation and someone's pushing me back on price. Okay. And then next week we'll go into this super deep listing presentation, price objections, listing presentation, price objections we'll do next week. But let me share my screen with you. I'm going to read through the, okay. Okay, you guys see that? Okay. All right. Javi, would you prefer to hope your home sells, or do you want to know it's going to sell? Somebody goes, and we're at the end of the listing presentation. This is what we're going to role play. We're at the end of the listing presentation, and you go, this is how I always set it up. I go, all right, now that you've seen the comparables, what price do you think we could position the property at so that we can competitively get a buyer to make an offer on the property? And they go, well, I think 550, and you told them 525. Okay. And I go, well, listen, Javi, you would prefer to hope your home's going to sell, or do you want to know it's going to sell? Now, these are trial closes. These are questions that ask them to set up to get them to close. But now you're going to have to come up with something that you have to say, and we'll take a closer look at that next week. But these trial closes are setups for you to be able to get closer to opening their mindset to like the fact that how often do you shop for overpriced items, Rebecca? How often do you shop? Well, I know you want to start at 550, but let's think about this. I mean, how often do you shop for overpriced items? Now, every time I say that, they go like this, and they break a little bit in their facial expressions, right? Because come on, man. I know you want higher, but like and now your skill set to go back into the comps to constructively through good questions, ask them questions to like get them to get back on board with the fact that when we're negotiating, do you want price to go down or up? If there's more buyer competition, what do you think that means for you? Well, what if pricing your home aggressively from the start, Nicole? I mean, we start at 525. What if that means more money in your pocket? And then now remember, these are questions to open conversation. And they go, well, what do you mean? And I go, well, I mean, what if we listed at 525 and now because we're priced competitively, we see more buyers? And what if we have multiple interested parties? Does that still happen right now? Well, it could happen depending on how aggressively we priced it. So what if there was a scenario where we priced aggressively, Janice, where let's say we priced at $500,000, but you're not going to accept anything under 525, correct? Correct. Okay, well then what if we see that like 500,000 is very low for this property, and we let everybody who shows up knows the property that, hey, we've underpriced this a little bit because we want more competition and we want buyers to come and make offers, and that come and make your best offer. Now, pricing just under, that's why I don't do it that much, Janice, is like pricing just under, it typically doesn't push the needle and make it go further. That's why you need that like 20% like wow factor. Like, wait, what's going on here? Okay. What happens if you lose the property to, you lose the opportunity to move to Florida because the property is overpriced? Well, how would you feel if we priced the home at 525,000 and it caused multiple offers, a bidding war, the price went up? I mean, how do you think multiple offers even happen? I don't know. Well, multiple offers happen because people feel like value is good or great based off of features and benefits versus price. So if they don't like our price, then they're going to try to pull us down. If they love our price, there's a high probability that they could compete for it. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I don't know, man. I'm spitfiring here on like all the stuff that's in my brain when I'm trying to be aggressive for pricing, because I'm coaching myself right now in this market, like we got to get more aggressive in my market. Some of you guys, Philly, I don't know what's going on in Philly, right? Or Florida. We got New York, Philly, Florida, Cali. We got people from all over the country here, right? But like, regardless of market conditions, those determining factors don't change. Market's going really hot, and people price at look market value, and then they know the property values are going up. Well, the perceived value is that this price right now is pretty good because values are going up. Okay, that's not happening. And then I price it aggressively. Perceived value is this is property priced really, really well, more demand. Now be careful you're not overpromising multiple offers or the property to go over in price. You got to be real careful of that on how you're setting expectations with that. But okay, that's just a preview of what we're going to go into next week on like really handling price objections. I want to dig into that next week deep. But let's do a freestyle role play right now. We're at the end of the listing presentation. Somebody raise their hand on role playing with me to get me from 550 to 525 so that we can move forward. All right, Javi, let's go. Okay, Javi, look, I know you told me, 525, but like, I really want to leave some room on the table so that, people don't pull me down further. So I'd really like to start at 550.
No, I completely understand that you feel like you don't want to leave any money on the table. But may I ask, would you prefer that your home sells, or do you want to know it's going to sell for sure?
Well, I mean, I want to sell. I mean, what do you mean?
Of course. So if you're telling me that you want to sell, the market is telling us that we should be closer to the 525. I mean, tell me, how often do you shop for items that are overpriced?
Well, I try not to.
Well, exactly. So that's exactly how buyers feel. So let me ask you, how would it feel you know, that because we priced it, you know, at a price that it was not correct, you know, you lose the opportunity to get closer to your grandchildren over there in Pennsylvania just because we couldn't get the price right the first time.
Well, no, that wouldn't make me happy.
Exactly. So based on that, you know, you don't want to, you know, that wouldn't make you happy. What do you think we should be?
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. All right.
I don't know. Give me
Somebody else?
feedback. I felt like I was.
Yeah. No, that was good. I mean, you're using some of the trial closes. I just left those up there for you guys to see. But at the end of the day, like, and we'll go deep on this next week. Is like, what's the meat and potatoes to be able to respond to that? Like, what's the meat of the content for me to be able to like move their mindset into the now? Look, here it is. The consequence. Like, what's the consequence of overpricing, and how good of questions can I ask rooted to that consequence to make them really think? Because what happens if you lose the opportunity to go to Pennsylvania to be with your family? And then somebody says something like this. This happens all the time. All the time. They're a smartass, or they devalue their motivation. Right? Now they told you need to be with mom. Mom's sick in Pennsylvania. Okay? They told you that. And they go, well, I don't have to sell it right now, so we could try it out. And I go, okay, well, yeah, maybe that could work, but let me ask you, what if, went over these last week, I think, like those, I think we did go over it, the cheat sheet that I have. What if all these little tools I can use, what if being on the market a longer period of time puts less money in your pocket? What if that happens? Well, what do you mean? Well, I mean, remember when you were looking for this property? Yeah. Remember how you saw properties that were on the market a long period of time? You had to have seen properties on the market like a long period of time. You remember that? Yeah. Okay, what was the first thought that happened in your mind? Maybe there's something wrong with the property. Well, exactly. And so you see, you don't have a deadline, because they do this all the time. You don't have a deadline to sell this property. I get that. But the buyers do. Pause. Let it sink. The buyers do. And the buyer's deadline is back to days on market for the community, for the comps. Okay? The buyer's deadline is 30 days. And look, you guys better get good at finding out those properties that took more than 30 days to sell. You better know the history and pull back and go, okay, those properties that took 90 days to sell, when they lowered their price, because this always happens, I mean, usually 99% of the time, right, is that they lower their price, and then within in our market, I just did a market report on this for my sphere, is within 24 days, properties, the average price, 60% of the market of the homes in Austin have experienced a price reduction. Average price reduction, 9%. Average days on market after the price reduction for properties that sell, 24. 24 for properties that sell. Okay, so what's the moral of the story? 30 to 45 days, guys. 30 to 45 days or else. And this can be difficult when I don't have more listings. This can be difficult when I'm not prospecting or have lead generation or have marketing going on to get new business. This can be a difficult pill to swallow. And for you to avoid, well, we'll see what happens. Well, let's try another week. Come on, man. I get caught up in that. I do. And if I'm getting caught up in that, you're getting caught up in that. And what are we fighting for? We're fighting for them to get their head out of the sand and get real, because I'm trying. Listen, David, I don't want to sound aggressive right now, but I want you to know I'm freaking fighting for you, man. I'm fighting for every dollar, because I know how important it is for you to move to Peru. I got a guy right now, and I got to go back on him. And I know he wants to sell the property right now, and he wants to move to Peru with his wife, who's from Peru, and they want to go back to her where she's from. And I'm like, and he's been a little reluctant. And he's one of those guys who like, let's just nudge it $5,000. And I let him get away with it. And I got to go back to that guy and go, look, Greg, I want you to know something. I care about selling this home as much as you do, and I care as much on putting the most money in your pocket. I need to say that to you up front, because what I'm about to say to you right now might hurt a little bit. Is number one, do you still want to go back to Peru? Yes, I do. Okay. Number two, is it still important to sell this year? I mean, well, it is. I want to get more, and I understand you want to get more, and obviously we're weighing the risk of holding on to it long term, like we initially had talked about. But if you want to sell this property right now, then I have to be honest with you. Can I be 100% honest with you? Yes, you can. Okay, great. Look, we need to get to 345. And that'll put you in the strike zone, and that'll get you to Peru. And that'll start your next chapter, and that will change your life. Because at this point, this is not about being in Bastrop anymore. This is about you moving forward and starting this new life, this new chapter with your wife in her home country, and changing your lifestyle 100%. False or true? That's what this is about. Okay, no, that's how a D is going to do it. Okay, and now he's D. He's D. So I could get a little D on him. All right, but David, right? If he's S, bro, you better slow that down and show the love, baby, right? That conversation better go slower, and it better go softer, and it better go quieter, and he better feel the love and how much you care and want to hug him and squeeze him with all the love all the way to Peru. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Here's the problem, guys. We get lost in our own heads of what we don't already know, newbies, okay? And for some of you guys who've been in the game just a little bit, because I think I'm the oldest guy in the room, okay? For some of you guys who've been in the game a little bit, like we forget, and then we start rationalizing. Well, yeah, the market, we'll take a little bit. All this junk that's keeping you from making money. That's turning you into the bad guy. Who's the bad guy? The person who doesn't sell the property. Because whether you like it or not, you didn't sell the property. Look, you just came down a little bit. I mean, you could really withhold the integrity of the relationship with really good communication, but you still didn't sell it. And it still hurts a little bit, even if you withheld the integrity of the relationship. Okay. And you got a lot of trust there. But if you didn't withhold the integrity of the relationship, and like you didn't provide weekly listing updates like you should, you didn't set expectations on pricing like you should, you didn't fight for them and show them how emphatic you were to like really go out and make sure that you get the best deal possible, and that you're sharing with them authentically and transparently like what it really takes, you could be the bad guy. Okay, takeaways today. Takeaways. Felicity.
My takeaway, let's see. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm drawing a blank. It was just
I'm coming back.
Okay, come
David
back.
Kerr.
Always be asking good questions.
Always be asking. ABBA, not the rock and roll group from the 80s.
Don't take overpriced listings.
Huh?
Don't take overpriced listings.
If you do, though, no. When you do, I know, Jay, we want to not, but we do. Okay. What's the
It's
expectation?
another, I got one, not the selling price, but the market price. And I like that saying. It's not the selling price, but the marketing price.
Right. Marketing price. I like that. Harold gave that to us, I think. That was good. Okay, Javi, one takeaway.
If you don't generate, you tolerate, right? So you need to be okay with walking away with people that are unreasonable, and also asking great questions, because if you don't get them there to the price that they need to be, you either do that or they're not there yet. So I love that.
Yeah. Nicole, finish us off here. What's your takeaway?
Yeah, just always paying attention to what is the market saying and making sure we have all the information we need and not guessing.
Yeah. And ultimately, how much do I really care? It's hard for me sometimes, Nicole, like to continue to care. This week, especially the last couple weeks for me, I've been getting kicked around a little bit, right? And it's hard to remember to care, especially for a D, right? Like to remember to care and to be caring. You know, I got on my whiteboard right here. I got a whiteboard. I drew a big red heart, and it says, "How do they know you care? How do they know you care?" Because I forget to do that. I'm just in execution mode. Get it done. Execute. Chop it up. Move forward. That's my personality style. Now, whatever gets me in trouble. We all have strengths and our personality. But the thing is our strengths pushed to the extreme are weaknesses. So like high S's, high I's, like how much you love and care, that's all really good stuff. But push too far, like you don't lead generate. Like you're not willing to have confrontational conversations. Like, and so we're all dealing with these things of being inside of our own heads. All I'm telling you guys is remember who you are and what you're doing. What's the purpose that you're doing this, and who are you fighting for? My family and my agenda to like grow in my business, but also like I'm fighting for them too. And how do I love on them and care for them in a way that connects with them and communicates with them and moves us forward?